Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, thank you for joining us this afternoon for this session on the hashtag Smart Nation Together channel. And if this is your first time joining us, hashtag Smart Nation Together is organized by the Smart Nation and Digital Government Office. It is the government agency under the Prime Minister's office that coordinates across the whole of government our country's Smart Nation efforts. And specifically, every week on this hashtag Smart Nation Together online program is meant to bring technological topics regarding apps, regarding websites that are useful for seniors. And we share it with you every Wednesday afternoon from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. All right. So we have been running this for almost more than 3 months now, since the start of June. And when I look through the participant list, I see a lot of familiar faces. So thank you for supporting this channel, and I do hope that you have been greatly enriched by these sessions. And our hope is that while many of us are encouraged to stay at home, not to go out so often, try to keep our safe distancing and be at home. Some of these sessions, all right, will be useful for you, especially in the afternoons, right after lunch and before you think about what to cook for dinner or where to go for dinner. A 1 hour session like that would be useful for you to learn something about technology and be able to also share it with family and friends, all right? So today's topic is on the My Legacy portal. And so what exactly is this portal? Now, so first of all, when we talk about legacy and end of life, I think we can all agree that end of life planning, all right, is not an easy topic for to discuss. It's not an easy topic for many of us, all right. And why is it so? Because nobody likes to think about end of life. Not many people like to think about what it will be like when they are no longer around. All right. So it's not always a very fun topic, not a very easy topic to talk about. All right. But if you look at some of the questions that I put on the PowerPoint, all right, what if I'm no longer around one day? Would my loved ones know what to do? Okay, and will they know my wishes? These are very pertinent, very real questions. All right, that if we give it a serious thought, okay, these are actually good questions to ask ourselves. Okay, as I was preparing for today's sharing, I recall a story of a friend who recently had to manage his father's passing, and he was back at home. Of course, he already knew that his dad is not in good health, and and I think after having a struggle of almost 6 months in hospital, the dad passed on. And of course, in that 6 months, his father had already given instructions to the family members on what to do with his assets, with his possessions, right? But even then, while my friend and his siblings are managing what the dad has left behind, very recently they came across a bank book, and they realized that, this is a bank account that the father didn't mention, all right? And inside there was actually a lot of money, all right? So the father actually has a few bank accounts, and I think this was one of those bank accounts, bank savings account that the father had and didn't touch it for a long time and kind of forgot about it, right? And so my friend had to, go to the bank and try to arrange for it, to, to, to make administrative arrangements for the bank account. But it's one of those things that they didn't realize, did not know that the father had left behind. So can you imagine if they didn't find that bank book, or the bank book was hidden somewhere or kept somewhere out of sight? What would have happened to that money inside that account? Another story that I can share, also something that I encountered recently, was one of my friends, unfortunately, by accident. All right, the mom had a a fall and had a bad fall and passed away quite shortly after the fall, and it was very sudden for the family, and it was not easy for them to deal with emotionally. But at the same time, because it was sudden, um, the mother did not leave behind any instructions for the family, and apart from dealing with the emotional loss, my friend and the siblings and the father had to really try to remember, try to search, and find out where the mother has left behind certain assets, left behind certain of the possessions. So in these two stories, we know that actually, end of life planning, while it's not an easy topic to talk about, it is an important topic. And planning and documenting are so important, even though it might be daunting for most of us. So this is the reason why um, uh, you know a few government agencies, and this includes the Ministry of Health, the Public Service Division, GovTech, and the Smart Nation and Digital Government Office, where I come from, came together, all right, and with the support of more than 20 other government agencies and organizations, all right, they came up with this portal called My Legacy, all right, and I need to say that this My Legacy is still in its beta phase, all right. Beta means it is still being piloted. It is not the final product, but it is a prototype that has been rolled out, and we encourage people to try it, to use it. And if you were to go to this portal, all right, it says clearly that this is a beta product. It is undergoing prototyping, and there's actually a link for you to give your feedback, all right, and let us know how we can further improve this, all right. But this is a small and first step towards the government trying to make it easy, trying to make it seamless and less daunting for our citizens to be able to document their wishes, to be able to document their assets, and be able to plan ahead. All right. So it is not true that this end of life planning is only for seniors. In fact, I tell a lot of my younger friends, all right, that anything can happen to us anytime, right? Life is quite unpredictable, and so it's never too young or too early for us to think about our legacy planning and end of life planning. All right. So I mentioned earlier that end of life planning it can be very daunting. We don't know where to start. There's so many things to think about. Sometimes we don't even know what is the first step to do. So My Legacy portal, all right, this My Legacy portal is designed to guide everyone through each step of the way, all right? It is a website that makes planning easy and convenient at your fingertips, all right? You don't have to go to any government agency. You don't have to visit different centers, all right? We put it in your fingertips. You can access it through your phone or to your computer. And we use technology to make it seamless, to document and share your plans so that you and your loved ones can spend more time focusing on the things that really matter, all right? So instead of having to go from government agency to government agency, website to different website, visit different centers, all right? We try to put everything on one website, make it seamless, easy to use, so that we all can spend more time focusing on the things that really matter, such as celebrating friendships, achieving our life goals, and spending more time with our family. All right. So today I will cover three things. All right, three things. I would briefly introduce the features of this My Legacy portal. And then later, I would switch to the website, and I will show you step by step how to log in and what are some of the key features. All right. Next, there is a particular tool called the Lasting Power of Attorney, or the Advanced Care Plan tool. All right. So I need to caveat that this website, all right, doesn't help you to do your lasting power of attorney or your advanced care plan. All right. It doesn't help you to do that. Okay, you still need to go to a lawyer. You still need to go to someone authorized who can do it for you. But with this tool, you can start the process, and eventually you can print it out so that when you eventually see the lawyer, see the authorized people to do it, it's much easier and the process is much faster. All right. So I'll be talking about these two things. Okay. So first of all, okay, let me give you an introduction. And if you have your phone with you, you can scan this QR code to go to the legacy portal, to my legacy portal. Or if you are using your phone to access this session and you don't want it to disrupt, actually you can scan and you can still hear my voice, all right? But if not, you can just either use your computer or another device near you and go to this website, my legacy in one word, .gov.sg. All right, so you can either type mylegacy.gov.sg in your web browser, or you could use the QR code here to scan and go to the website. But essentially, this website helps you to explore, store, and share your end-of-life plans. All right, three things: explore, store the information there, and share it with your loved ones. All right, and it aims to bring together information and services from different sources, from different websites, relating to end of life into one place. All right, so that you don't have to search for the information all over different websites. Okay. Now, first feature that I'm going to introduce to you is this thing called the guides section. All right. So before we develop My Legacy, the portal, all right, if you are interested in end-of-life planning, you will realize that you have to navigate many different government websites, many different organizations, all right? And the information is kept at different places, okay? So with this website, with My Legacy, you can get trustworthy, up-to-date, and easy to understand information in one place, all right? So we have put together step-by-step information covering two areas, all right? The first area is end-of-life planning. And things that are inside is how to start planning, how to write a will, how do you make an advanced care plan, get palliative care, or how do you, if overnight, you know, sometimes you are doing end-of-life planning for your loved ones, and some of us may become caregivers overnight. So if something happens to our loved ones and overnight we become a caregiver, what should we do? Where can we go to seek help? All right. So caregiver support is very important. All right. So this first part of the guide really bring you through step by step each of these topics that I've mentioned. In the second part, which is what you see on the right of your screen, this guide helps us understand when death happens to one of our loved ones. What do we do? Who should we approach? What is the next step that we should take? All right. So this next part also covers what are the different things that we need to do when someone passes away. Things like death reporting, how do we arrange a funeral, how do we manage the assets and estate of the deceased. Okay. So sometimes to some people, these are quite straightforward, but actually, you know, to many people, all these things are not easy. There's information all over and people don't know where to start. At the same time, when a death happens at home, it's already a very emotional period for us, right? So let alone we have to go all over to find information. So this particular portal, the first key feature is that they are very simple guides, very simple information that we have pulled together from different sources, different websites, and we put it here so that at a few clicks of the finger or your mouse, you can access these guides. All right, so that's the first feature. The second feature, all right, is this thing called the vote. All right, and the word vote comes from it's a bit like a safe, okay, that maybe some of us have at home. We have a safe where we put our treasured possessions inside, so basically what a vault does is that inside this vault, all right, it allows us to store records of our personal information and our plans. All right. So why do we store our personal information and our plans? Number one, for our convenient reference. All right. Instead of having our insurance policy lying around or bank statements lying around, we store it here so that we can go in and in one dashboard be able to retrieve all this information at one glance. But the second thing we can do is that we can appoint trusted persons. Okay, we can appoint trusted persons like our spouse, our children, and we can decide to share the information to them. All right, so there's a function that allows you to share the information in your vault with them, so that if anything were to happen to us, they have access into the vault to be able to understand our wishes and what we intend to do with the things that we have left behind. All right, so the vault was designed to solve two big problems. The first problem is keeping records of important plans and personal documents. So, you know, even if we are very meticulous, we will always rely on a physical file, a bank book, insurance documents that I mentioned earlier, and we store it in a cupboard, in a file, we put it on the shelf, and maybe in the drawer, okay? But some of us make plans many years in advance, all right? And we might forget about some of these plans. Like I mentioned, my friend's father probably forgot that he has another bank account, right? And we may even lose track, okay? So another example is that some of us may have already made our CPF nomination many years ago, but we may forget, we may have forgotten who we have appointed, right, in our CPF nomination. It's the same thing with insurance plans. We may have multiple insurance plans and we may have forgotten what our insurance covers, all right? So with this vault, we can keep a systemic digital record, all right? And this vault is secured by SingPass login. So access is only by your SingPass, okay? So it is secured and not easily tampered with, okay? Now the second problem that we face and why the vault is important is that many of us want to make sure that our loved ones are taken care of when we are no longer around, all right? And many of us, we do our best to save for a rainy day. We buy insurance policies. We make sure that when we are no longer around or suddenly something happened to us, our loved ones are taken care of, right? Now, however, many people don't feel comfortable sharing the full details of these plans ahead of time, all right? Or sometimes even we share with our loved ones, they may forget or they may even lose the records that we pass to them, right? So, so those of us who have managed the assets of our loved ones who has passed away before, okay, will know that actually it can be very tiring compiling a record of all the assets when applying for probate, okay? And so, and on top of it, it's very common to have multiple bank accounts, credit cards, social media accounts, insurance policies, and different types of accounts and memberships, right? So the vault allows us to share our records easily with people we trust. And if I can give you an example or analogy, it is like a Facebook friend. We can invite a loved one to be a trusted person in the vault. Just like when we accept their friend requests on Facebook, we are saying we choose to give them information. And when I accept your friend request on Facebook, it means that whatever I post online, you can see it, all right? So the vault works in the same way. I can share it with trusted persons, and only when I choose to share with you, then you can see what is written in my vault, all right? The vault also allows you to decide whether you want to choose to share the information now or only when you pass on. Then they can see what is written in your vault. All right, same thing. They can only access by SingPass, so the information is secure. Okay. At this point, let me just pause and switch the screen because I do want to show you how the vault works. All right. Okay, just give me a second. I know some of you may have questions, but I'll answer them later on at the end of the sharing, all right? So this is, what you are seeing now is my web browser, and this is the homepage of My Legacy. Okay, so when you type www.mylegacy.gov.sg, this is what you will see. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that the front part of the website, you will be able to see two guides if you follow my mouse. The one on the left talks about end-of-life planning. And when you click on here, there are a lot of guides, all right, talking about why we need to start planning early, how we should prepare our financial documents, considering our healthcare preferences, how to get in touch with palliative care, and also as a caregiver, where can we find assistance, where can we seek help, okay? So this is the guidebook on end-of-life planning. Now, when death happens, there are also different guides. Things like finding a funeral director, we may need to get in touch with the town council for the funeral and booking a burial or cremation slot, right? And there's many other things related to when death happens to our loved ones. What are some of the things that we can do, all right? So this is a very simple and quick guide. So that's one thing. And then the second part is My Legacy Vault, all right? And I'm just gonna log into my account to show you how it looks like. Okay. I will just use SingPass Mobile to log in. 1 second. With SingPass Mobile, actually you can use your mobile phone to scan the QR code, and it's very simple. All right. So I've logged in on my SingPass Mobile, and on the desktop, it automatically detects that you have logged in on your phone. Yep. So this is what happens after you log in. All right. This is what you see. Okay. And you realize that this part in yellow, it shows that My Legacy is still a work in progress. And if you click on this link, tell us what you think. Okay. Please give us your feedback. Tell us what you think, and so that we can improve it further. Okay. Now, this is the vault after you log in through your SingPass. And like I mentioned earlier, I've not done anything. Probably if I've done something, I will not be able to use my account to demo it to you, right? So this is what you see on your page. So I've not done anything. I've not done, that's why if you look at my LPA, ACP, CPF nomination, funeral plan, and will, nothing is mentioned here. But I go down to this part called personal information, all right? And when you click on it, this is where, for example, you can add information about important documents, all right? So you can, put in your NRIC number, your FIN number, and you can also mention where you have kept the document, okay? And if you want to store a picture, you can upload the file over here, okay? Next, you can also talk about proof of relationship, all right? So for example, if you want to put your marriage cert or birth cert of your child, you can also upload here, okay? Next, there are other things you can put in, like financial accounts. You can put details about your bank account, credit card, insurance, your investments, your loans, safe deposit boxes. And just click on the add button. Quite simple. They will ask you for the information. You can upload a screenshot, a photo of it, all right? And so it's really quite straightforward. Okay. If you have certain bills and payments, you can also put your utilities, recurring payments, all right? Maybe mobile phone payments. You can also put information here so that your loved ones will be able to follow up for you, all right? There's also a section on property and vehicles. You can put information about your property, properties that you own, type of ownership, details of the loan, okay? And of course, you can also put details of your vehicles. The next section is on digital. If let's say you have a number of devices, okay, or like I mentioned, social media account, Facebook account, you can put things like the password over there so that, when we are no longer around, our loved ones can go in to maybe close the account or let our friends know that we are no longer around, all right? So even things like social media accounts, you can also put the information here. If you have a few devices like your tablets, iPads, phones, sometimes you don't want to share the password with your loved ones, right? when you're still around. But when you're no longer around, it may be good for them to have the password so that they can go into maybe, keep some of the photos for memories, keep also wipe out. They can also help you to wipe out some of the more confidential information inside the devices. Okay. And there's another section called others. Pretty interesting. For example, if you own a pet, right? All the pets in Singapore, you need to register them. They've got microchips in them. You can put the microchip ID and some other information regarding your pet. You can put it here. Okay. And in the other section, this is for things that are not in any of the above category. All right. You can put it in the others section. So this is all the things that you can put under personal information, right? So we go back to, so this is the section of personal information, all right? And you can put the details there in the categories that they've created for you. And if the categories, if the things you want to store there is not in the categories, then you can always put it under others, all right? Okay, then if you click on My Plans, all right, then there are a few things, 5 areas here, all right? Let me start with the one in the bottom. So for example, if you have an idea of how you want your own funeral to be conducted, for example, what do you want to do for your funeral, what you want to do for your remains, your ashes, you can actually click here and record your plan. Okay, of course, there are a few things here that we guide you that, even like this example, funeral services are the time to celebrate the life of someone who has passed on. So do talk to your family and friends before deciding on how you want your funeral to be conducted. All right. Hang on. Just okay. Sorry for the slight disruption. Let me just adjust my thing. Yeah. Okay. So you can make your funeral plans here. Okay. Then if you need to make a CPF nomination, you can also get started over here. All right. And actually, the legacy, My Legacy portal is connected to CPF, and so when you click on Allow Access, it will go to CPF and allow you to make your CPF nominations. If you want to make a will, all right, you can also do your will over here, right? Of course, because this is a legal document, you can't actually do your will here, but it will guide you on the steps you need to do your will. All right. So similarly, for the lasting power of attorney and your advanced care plan, you need authorized people like legal professionals to help you, but you can get started here. Okay. So that's the next part that I will run through with you. Okay. So let me go back to my slides. Just 1 second. Okay. All right, so I've gone through the features of the vault, and so I hope that when you have time later today or the next few days, you can log in to the portal using your SingPass and go explore the vault on your own. Now, this next feature that I would like to go through really is this thing called the LPA-ACP tool. LPA stands for the Lasting Power of Attorney, and ACP stands for the Advanced Care Plan tool. All right, it guides you to fill up forms, all right, that is needed to make your LPA and ACP. Okay, after using the tool, you will be able to generate forms that have been pre-filled with your preferences. All right, so with the pre-filled form, you can print it out and approach people who are able to help you to formalize your LPA and ACP. All right, so normally, you will need to download the LPA and ACP form from off the MSF and AIC website fill them in manually, get them signed, and bring them to a professional. So this can be very challenging for many of us who are not good at paperwork, okay? And it may distract us, all right? Because there's so many places to look for the information, find the form, print it out. It may distract us from the more important task of making the decisions that we need to make, all right? So the project team for this website has worked with SATA Com Health, which actually is an organization that delivers both the LPA and ACP services to design this tool. And the aim of this tool is to bring you through the decisions that you need to make, provide just-in-time information to support you to make those decisions without worrying about filling up the form, all right? And so this takes approximately 10 to 20 minutes to complete, depending on how clear you are about your decisions. And at the end of the tool, you will get to generate a pre-filled LPA and ACP form. And with this, you can bring it to a professional, people like SATA Com Health, okay, to get it to be finalized. Okay, so if you would like to access this tool, all right, scan the QR code on the right-hand side, or if you are already at the My Legacy website, you can look for this LPA-ACP tool and click on it, and I can go through it with you, all right? So I'm going to go through it step by step on how to fill up this form, but don't worry if you cannot follow, just look at my slides, and you can do it at your own time after today's session, okay? So our goal is to support you to use this tool to generate a draft LPA and ACP form, and then you can bring it to a service provider. All right. So what are some of the benefits of this tool? I mentioned to you earlier, it helps you to focus on the decisions that you need to make. And this tool also provides relevant information, and it prompts you at each step. All right. So that, you know, sometimes when you look at a hard copy form, so many things to fill, you don't know what is some of the things there. But in this My Legacy portal, every step of the way, there are prompts there to guide you. What is this thing? It will guide you on how you should think through some of the decisions that you need to make, all right? So the main thing is not to worry about filling up the form, but focus on the decisions that you need to make, okay? So, yeah. Now, before you start, you know, always remember that you need to prepare some information for yourself and the people that you want to appoint as your donees and spokespersons, all right? So there are three main things that you need. First of all is the identification documents, NRIC, FIN number, passport number of yourself, as well as the people that you would like to appoint as your donees and spokespersons. Then you need you and their date of birth information, and also their contact details, their phone number, email, and mailing address, okay? Next, even if you have already done your ACP or LPA, this tool is still useful, okay? Because on this page, okay, you can select which form you want to fill, okay? And there are 6 parts to this tool, all right? First is putting in your own personal information. Second is thinking about the people that you wish to appoint, and what are the powers that you want to give to them, and you need to provide their details, okay? Third is appointing a replacement if you want, all right? This is optional, okay? You can appoint a replacement if you want. Fourth is thinking through in greater detail the types of power you want to give to your appointed person. And fifth, thinking through your care values and preferences, all right? What are your, you know, your care needs, okay? If something were to happen to you, what are your preferences? And finally, reviewing all the information provided before generating the pre-filled forms. And so, first step, okay, you'll be asked to provide your personal details, and these are the details that you need to provide, which will be in the documents that you prepare, okay? Quite straightforward. These are some of the very common information. Next, you'll be prompted to appoint people to be your LPA donees or your nominated healthcare spokespersons, okay? And if you realize that there are those blue color words underlined there. If you don't know what are these, some you don't know these terms, you can always click on it and the guide there will explain to you. All right. So at the same time, as part of this step-by-step process, we also include a recap of the powers and responsibilities of your donees, okay, and provide you links to other articles if you need more information, okay. So this is an example of how at every step of the way there are things that you can click to find out more, to understand some of the terms used, okay. So it's much better than filling out a hard copy form, right? Next, you'll be asked to provide the details and decide on the powers that you want to grant to your appointed persons. Okay, and yeah, so if you look at the red color arrow, it says here, in the event that I lose my mental capacity, I authorize the person to make decisions about so you can select my personal welfare, about my property and affairs, or both my personal welfare and my property affairs. Okay. Now, next, you have the option of appointing a replacement. So this is optional, and it just provides as well some, just-in-time information. Okay, and my advice to you would be to consider appointing a replacement, especially if the people you have appointed are older or the same age as you, or they live in the same household. Okay, just in case something will happen to them and they are not around or they are not able to help you make decisions. All right, so try to appoint a replacement. All right, if anything were to happen to your original appointee. Okay, so this is optional, only if you want to. Next, this section is about thinking through in greater detail the powers you want to give to your appointed persons. Okay, so this first section concerns the consent to start or continue treatment if something were to happen to you. Okay, then this next section are some decisions about your property and your affairs. Okay, and this gives you the opportunity to place restrictions on the powers given to your appointed person. Okay, so usually we advise people to appoint people that they trust fully, so that they will not need to place such restrictions on them. All right. Let me say again, we usually advise people to appoint people that they can trust fully, so that you do not need to place such restrictions on them. However, these are the options available to you. Okay. Now, the next part is on care values. All right. And the questions in this section will help you think through and communicate your care values and preferences to your appointed persons. All right. Things like what are, for example, this question, what are some activities that give your life meaning? So if your doctors have to make a medical decision for you, what would you want them to know, so that they can, what would you like your appointed persons to know, so that they can protect your best interests? All right. So there are a few options here for you. That means, if something were to happen to you and you cannot make a decision for yourself, and you need your appointed person to make the decision for you, these are the things you can choose. All right. In terms of what are some of the values, the care values that you want to have. All right. Next, you will be brought to this summary page where you can review all the information you have provided. Okay, and you can edit the information conveniently as well. So, for example, if you go through, this is like a summary, and if certain things you feel that you want to make another decision, you can just click on the edit button and you can edit directly from here. Now, once you have confirmed everything, all right, download the pre-filled forms. All right. So for Apple and Android phone users, there is a separate guide, okay, on the portal, okay, where they will teach you how to retrieve the downloaded forms on your phone. All right. But if it's on your laptop, it's quite easy. Okay, you can save it and print it out and bring it to a professional to process it for you. Okay, now to protect your privacy, the portal does not store the draft of this form. Okay, so when you leave the page or when you refresh the page halfway, all the information will be gone. Okay, because of security, we do not save the draft of your LPA-ACP form online. Okay, because for security reasons, we don't want to store it. Okay, so once you leave the page or you have to close it halfway, you need to refresh the page, you will need to start all over again. Okay, therefore, you know, before you finalize your forms for download, please check through, because once you download it, okay, it's gone. And if you want to do it again, you have to restart the process. Okay.